All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, in life, we have to be very wary, very cognizant of how we cast ourselves, especially being so-called black men. There already is a concerted attempt to marginalize us in every way, shape, or form. Why is that? Because they don't really want the so-called black man to be viewed as a three-dimensional figure. They want us to be viewed as caricatures, almost as cartoon characters. So they try to place us or compartmentalize us in different boxes so that they can, just relegate us to whatever role they want us to be relegated to. Oh, that's the angry black guy. That's the sensitive black guy. That's the happy-go-lucky black guy. So on and so forth. So we have to make sure that when we interact with people that we establish the rule of engagement or the rules of engagement with them so that they know where to tread and where not to tread. And that's why I give so much honor and so much credit to Mr. Kawhi Leonard, because he established from the jump that I'm going to speak when I want to, how I want to. I'm going to be professional, of course, but at no point in time am I going to be the person that you're going to be able to bounce fake or inflammatory questions off of to create your own media narratives and then claim when I respond that I'm quote unquote sensitive. What the media is right now is they're basically a conglomerate of trolls. What the modern sports media basically does today is create pretexts and then from there use that as a springboard to concoct their own false narratives, hoping that they can get one of these major athletes to respond so that they can keep a news cycle going or create a new news cycle. It's almost like if you work in a certain environment, a workplace environment or corporate environment, or if you're in school and someone is interested in you, but they don't know how to approach you. They may say something to you exceedingly disrespectful or denigrating just to see how you're going to respond and then try to initiate some type of rapport from there. Toxic people will do that, especially in the workplace. And I noticed that particularly with women or with dudes who act like women. They'll say something inflammatory or disrespectful to you to see if that will get the response from you that they want so that they can run back and go tell someone else or maybe establish what they deem to be a relationship with you. That's how the media operates with many of these modern day athletes. And in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, they see a couple of younger cats who are extremely transparent and they know that means that they could be manipulated. Well, Chris Broussard, aka Chris X, has established over the last couple of weeks that, at least according to him, he has a relationship with Kevin Durant that he believes to have a certain level of depth. Kevin Durant refutes that, and this has led to some back and forth between the two. Chris Broussard has decided to reveal that Kevin Durant does not have the best relationship with Steve Kerr, or that he's getting tired of Steve Kerr's quote-unquote prodding, i.e. attempts at mental manipulation, and that Kevin Durant is trying to court other major NBA stars who are going to be free agents to join him in New York to play with the Knicks. So, of course, they're going to talk about it and they're going to chime in.
The Warriors continue to roll without Kevin Durant. They've won 4 straight without KD, and he'll be out again tonight. Over the weekend, Newsday reported that Durant is unhappy with, quote, prodding of Steve Kerr, and he's realizing that Steph Curry will always be the #1 star for the Warriors.
And let me say this as well. The notion of a star player or a superstar player getting tired of their coach, not even just their prodding, but just their coach, period, that's nothing new. We know that Kobe Bryant got tired of Phil Jackson more than once. Even Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen would get tired of Phil Jackson. We know that they both got tired of Doug Collins. That happens, especially when you reach a certain plateau as a player, and you can tell that the coach is trying to use old tactics to get you to excel or to reach another level that you think is too early. And many times coaches will do this with championship teams during the regular season, and great players will become exasperated by this because their mentality is, I know when to ratchet it up.
And on Friday, there was an Instagram post with a quote from Seth Curry where he said the Warriors move around faster when KD's not out there. They're definitely not a better team, but they're harder to guard. Durant's response to that was, quote,
You know what's so funny? Back when Lonzo Ball first came into the NBA and LeVar Ball would make certain statements pertaining to the Lakers or the head coach of the Lakers, people would say, Lonzo has to be careful. He has to shut his dad up because people are going to think that LeVar Ball is speaking for Lonzo. What's interesting is that nobody said after Seth Curry made this statement that Seth Curry might be speaking for Steph Curry.
Hell no.
Hell no.
Of course. He's got to respond, That's his style.
Wow.
We're joined by FS1 NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Chris, good morning.
Good morning.
Chris, what's going on with KD?
Well,
He don't know what's going on. Chris Broussard makes up a whole bunch of silly shit.
Well, first of all, let me address the Steve Kerr situation. He should have absolutely no problem with Steve Kerr.
Zero.
Is that enough?
Well, how would you know that he should have no problem with Steve Kerr? Are you in their locker room? Do you know whether or not Steve Kerr is actually the person that he projects himself to be on television? Do you know whether or not Steve Kerr is going above and beyond to try to act as if he's going to be some great Svengali or manipulator of KD? Many players get turned off by that.
That another word for coaching?
Yeah.
I mean, really, like, if you can't let a coach prod you, then you just don't want to be coached. I really don't put much stock into this. You know, Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan got into it at times.
Absolutely.
Phil Jackson, Kobe Bryant. It happened. So I don't put much into that at all.
LeBron with every last one of his coaches.
That at all. The bigger thing is Steph's team. KD knew it was Steph's team when he went there. But there were two things that he had not experienced that he wanted that overrode his sense that it would be Steph's team. Number one, he really did love the way they played. The selflessness, the ball movement, the player movement.
Of course, he wanted to get away from Westbrook. Who wouldn't?
Want to be a part of that after all those years with Russ. ISO ball. Secondly, of course, rings.
Yes.
Okay? So even though he knew it's somebody else's team, those two desires overrode it. But now that he's experienced all that, the ball movement, the player movement, the way they play, and then the championships, and by his own admission, he has said, is this it? These championships, it's nice, but it's no big deal.
Is that all there is?
Right. Now there's nothing to override the understanding that this is somebody else's team. Mm-hmm. And he's, for 3 years, KD's had to live with this. Mm-hmm. His own general manager at the parade last year, Bob Myers poking fun at him.
I have no idea why Bob Myers would make some of the statements that he made at that parade last year. Unless maybe he was drunk or high or something like that. That made no sense to me at the time, especially when you're dealing with someone who has the reputation, the quote-unquote reputation of being excessively and exceedingly quote-unquote sensitive. And you would even allude to a statement like that. There's a saying that a lot of truth is said in jest. So just for Bob Myers to make a quote-unquote joke like that, there must be a component or an element, a kernel of truth behind the joke that he made towards Kevin Durant, and I'm sure that Kevin Durant picked up on that.
Well, Steph's been here since the beginning. KD's not. Clyde Frazier, another top 50 player of all time. Not a role player.
Clyde Frazier was trying to use reverse psychology. His attitude was, hey, KD, if you want to be a real man, come join the Knicks. He tried to use the Clubber Lang approach when Clubber Lang was speaking to Adrian. Hey, woman.
An all-time great saying, there's an asterisk, by him.
Yep.
And then, look, I can name two players I've talked to off the top of my head who have told me, look, everybody respects KD's game. You can't help but know this dude is awesome. But they look a little funny at the rings.
Okay, so name the players.
Because they feel like a lot of guys could have went there. Yeah, and got those.
Wow.
And so KD understands this. So that is what is eating them up right now. And look, everybody's wondering, well, let me finish with this point. After all that's gone over the last 3 years, him winning the finals MVPs the last 2 years, the players on his own team, Steph, Clay, saying he's the best player on the team. We need him. Everybody's saying he's probably the best player in the world. You can tell yourself.
Well, what KD has is he probably has the best arsenal of any player on the planet today, both offensively and defensively. Does that make him necessarily the best player in the world? I just think that there are a lot of intangibles that go into making the quote-unquote best player in the world. The main aspect that KD is missing is the leadership component. He just does not have that. When I look at Kawhi Leonard, I have to say this. I underestimated Kawhi Leonard as a leader during the regular season. From what I've seen from him in these playoffs, that certainly has made me raise the esteem that I have for him. I mean, exponentially. It's unbelievable how much more respect I have for Kawhi Leonard's leadership abilities just off of this playoff run. So I'm going to have to reestablish what my hierarchy is at the very end of the playoffs right now. I also have great respect for Giannis's leadership abilities as well. So it's going to take a while for me to really be able to decide who the best player is in the NBA overall. Still the most impactful in my view is Stephen Curry. But who the best is, I don't think will fully be established until after these finals. who the best player will be for the next 10 years, I'm still going to side with Giannis because of the fact that he's so devastating right now, and there are still glaring aspects of his game that he has to improve upon. And once he gets a mid-range shot, a post-up game, he's going to be even more devastating. You combine that with the intangibles that he has. He's just a player to hit your wagon to if you're the NBA right now for the next 10 seasons.
Man, these critics don't know what they're talking about because they do need me. I've been the Finals MVP the last 2 years. Clearly they need me.
Sure.
But now, with your own eyes, you're watching it. And KD is smart. He's a basketball. IQ is high. He knows how. He's seeing how good Steph is now.
You mean how great he is?
How Clay and Steph are demolishing Lillard and CJ. How Draymond is putting.
Yeah, that was embarrassing. What Steph Curry and Klay Thompson did to Lillard and CJ, that was embarrassing.
Playing awesome basketball, and now he's seeing it within himself. They don't need me. And here's let's get to the crux of the matter.
Well, there's certainly an element of that there. There's no doubt about that. When you watch your team go into Houston and win that game without you, especially when they had you and you lost both games in Houston, and then they sweep Portland how they did. Now, the only question is, how much of that is just the adrenaline mixed in with the mental preparation as well as the experience, as opposed to just being better than these other teams? Because the fact of the matter is that, yes, Golden State swept Portland, but 3 out of the 4 games they were trailing by 15 plus points. So how much of that is just we're so experienced, we're tougher mentally? That's something that you can push in the playoffs, but in the regular season, they might have lost some of those games. Who knows? I mean, it's just speculation. We do know that before KD got there, they were a 65-plus win team 2 years in a row, 1 year winning over 70 games. And we also have to understand that it's not like they took out KD and placed back in Harrison Barnes. They basically have a lesser team than they had back in 2016. Even though I do think that Steph Curry is a better player than he was in 2015 and 2016, if that makes sense. Certain people might say, well, how could you say that? He does not have the stats that he had back in 2016. He's bigger, he's stronger, and he's more experienced. And he has not lost any speed. So he is a better player right now than he was in 2016. He just does not have the same role that he had in 2016.
Because everybody's saying, are they better without KD? Can they be better? Here's the issue. They don't have to be better without KD. They just have to be better than everybody else without KD.
Yep.
If they win this championship without KD, people already belittling the 2 rings.
KD is diminished.
No question.
How could KD be diminished when, for all intents and purposes, we know why KD was brought in there? KD's job was to nullify LeBron James. According to you, Draymond Green was crying like a bitch in the parking lot after Game 7 in 2016 and begged KD to come there. And that's how you know, once again, that Shannon Sharpe, he has an agenda. His whole thing is to try to weaken Golden State to give his boo-thang LeBron James another chance, because Shannon Sharpe is holding out hope that the Lakers can sign Kyrie and trade for Anthony Davis. And that will put them on not just an even playing field with Golden State, but will put them above Golden State, especially if they lose KD. So that's the end game for Shannon Sharpe.
But hold on, Skip. You remember I said the very thing. I said the very thing that Kevin Durant is upset about Steve Kerr about. And I was ignorant for saying what I said.
Well, y'all ignorant, but I'm not quite sure you're ignorant about that. I'm just playing. Shannon Sharpe is an extremely bright and intelligent cat. He just bugs out sometimes.
That was an ignorant statement. I said he would never be loved like Steph Curry in the Bay.
You said that.
I said it, and he said that was a fact. That's an ignorant statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the truth. I mean, you can go adopt a child, and you can claim that you love your adopted child as much as the child that came from your loins, but it's just never going to be the case. It's just not. That does not mean that you don't love your adopted child. It's just that there's a certain bond, a connection that you have with a child that came forth from your loins.
Really? And now the very thing that he called me and said I was ignorant for saying is what he's upset about. You said that the fact that he loved the ball movement, was willing to override that against his better judgment what he was doing. The opportunity to win the rings overrode. But what he couldn't get his mind around is that he won Finals MVP and he still was never embraced like Skip was. He couldn't override that. Skip, I can get my right. You know what? Yeah, they can call me a sucker for going and jump.
Sucker?
and jumping on the 73-9 team.
Yeah, but
I got these rings.
Right.
I'm the Finals MVP. I hit the shots of shots heard around the world.
Right up in your man's face. Right up in LeBron's face. LeBron was so traumatized by that shot that KD hit over him in Game 3 of the 2017 Finals that the same situation happened in 2018 and LeBron ran away from KD. That's why he could never, ever be the greatest player ever.
Steph, our baby, though. We like Steph more than you. And I kept telling people all the time, Kevin Durant's a private jet. Skip, I got a little money. Not much. I ain't got Skip Bayless money. I got a little money. I could
Why you gonna put Skip Bayless business out there for?
have fly private sometimes.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Must be nice.
it's a luxury.
Must be nice.
But if Delta going exactly the spot the private jet could take me, why the hell would I do that?
I just use points every time I fly. That's all I got.
I ain't got no points. I ain't got no points. But anyway, KD was a luxury.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Was KD a luxury or was he a necessity? Because previously you stated that the Warriors needed KD in order to stop that monster from Akron, Ohio.
KD makes them unbeatable in a 7-game series. But I tell you what, he better pray he gets back. Because if they win this title without Kevin Durant,
What's going to happen, Shannon? If they win the title without Kevin Durant, that does more for Steph Curry's legacy than it does to take away from Kevin Durant's legacy. That's how I see it anyway. Of course, they're going to be quote-unquote haters and negative people who are going to try to tear down Kevin Durant because he was not on a team that was able to defeat the Toronto Raptors. I mean, of course, people are going to speculate on those type of things. But I think that adds more to Steph Curry's legacy, who he himself really needs to be officially validated in the NBA Finals. A person who has supposedly not shown up in the NBA playoffs before this season or this last series, according to the false narratives of the NBA media. This is more pivotal for Stephen Curry. This is Steph's chance to really put his imprint on the NBA Finals against a great team, a great defensive team in the Toronto Raptors. This is going to give Steph his showcase moment. Now, when it comes to KD, it's not going to change anything. People like you are going to use this as a springboard to claim that the Warriors don't need you, KD. Please leave the Warriors, KD. If you do nothing else, just leave the Warriors so that my man has a chance. But in all reality, it's not going to affect Kevin Durant's esteem around the league. It's not going to affect how much money he's going to make in the offseason. And that's how he has to look at it. The people who don't like the fact that he was with Golden State, they're not going to change whether he plays all 4 to 7 games or whether he plays no games. They were not going to give him any credit anyway. Even if he came back to play against the Raptors and balled out, they were not going to give him any more credit than he already has.
nobody will ever look at Kevin Durant and say,
Well, that's why he'll have to leave.
Yeah.
They can look at him the same if he goes somewhere else and leads a team to a championship.
Skip, how you the best player in the world, and you missed the last 2 series of a game and a half of the other one, and they win, and they demolish. It wasn't even close.
It's called playing in a real system, Shannon Sharpe. And Shannon still, he just does not get this. He does not understand this because he's so wrapped up in his toxic LeBroninity. He's one of those toxic fanboys that Kevin Durant was talking about earlier this year. He just cannot grasp how a team, a truly great team, could lose its best player, arguably the best player in the NBA, and still be highly effective. It's the same argument that's used against Michael Jordan when he retired the first time. And once again, when you play a real team system that utilizes all the components on your team, you are still going to be a very good to maybe even great team, even without your best player. The reason why we see this drop off in all of LeBron's former teams is because LeBron can only play in the LeBron James system. That's it. So basically, every player on his team is just a tentacle, and he's the head of the octopus. Everything revolves around him. That's why Shannon Sharpe is so flummoxed whenever he ponders about why George Hill could be so impactful with the Milwaukee Bucks and, so unimpactful with the Cleveland Cavaliers last year. He does not grasp that the Milwaukee Bucks actually play in a real system. And Giannis Antetokounmpo actually makes his teammates better. The stats might not read like LeBron James' stats, but he makes his teammates better. LeBron, on the other hand, uses his teammates to make himself better.
Think about they went 6 games with the Clippers. They demolished Houston without you. They demolished in Portland without you.
That's very true, Shannon Sharpe. But why did the Golden State Warriors go 6 games with the Clippers? Did they go 6 games with the Clippers because they were worse with Kevin Durant, or was it because they were so great that they took their foot off the gas for a couple of games? I mean, one game they gave up a 31-point lead. I mean, give me a break.
They'll probably run through Toronto or Milwaukee without you, and you want to walk around and say, I'm the baddest man on the planet. Ha!
It always comes back to LeBron with Shannon.
So, my first question is this. Where has Kevin Durant been during the last 4 playoff games? Not on the bench. How many best players on teams, on really good teams, would...
Well, Skip Bayless, the man has a lower leg injury. So it's normally common practice for players to have a lower leg injury to not fly if they don't have to.
would say, I'm not even going to go out there and associate with you guys because I'm hurt. I'll just stay in the locker room. It's a bad...
Because he does not want to be viewed as a distraction. Kevin Durant knows that if he sits on the sideline, the cameras are going to be on him at just about every moment in the game, and people like you are going to try to speculate on his facial expressions, and does he stand up to clap whenever Steph Curry scores, and does he look happy enough that the Warriors won, all this dumb shit. That's why he stays in the locker room.
Bad look, because they're supposed to be together, and now it looks like he's separating himself. I'm above all that. I'm not going to go sit on the end of the bench in civvies and have to clap for you guys. That's how it comes across to me. It's wrong. It's a bad look, even though we saw in the, was it game 1 at Oakland, I think it was, where the TV camera caught him. He was shaking their hands as they came out.
Game 2, they was
Game 2,
they was behind.
I don't know if we saw it at game 1 or not.
Yeah.
But I assume he's just watching it on TV in the locker room. That is wrong. Now to the irony of the Seth statement, which I brought up the next day on this show because I loved it, because I agree with it, and it's exactly what I keep saying about these Warriors. Again, are they better without? No, they're not better on paper without Kevin Durant because he's the best player in the world to me and back-to-back Finals MVP. Are they playing better without Kevin Durant than they were when Houston was on its 22-9 run in the third quarter? It looked like it had seized control of that game. Yes, they're playing better because
they're playing more focused. They're much sharper, much more acute because they have to be. They have a much smaller margin for error.
Because to Seth's point, they are definitely harder to guard because everybody's moving. So Kevin left ISO ball in Oklahoma City for the beautiful ball movement that he saw in Oakland, and now it has degenerated slowly but surely and inevitably toward him because he's now clear side, ISO, dribble, rise up over 2 defenders and shoot a 15-foot jump shot.
I don't blame Kevin Durant for that, though. I blame Steve Kerr. And Steve Kerr fell into this trap last season where he just takes the easiest approach. So that's the issue with Steve Kerr. It's important that Steve Kerr implore his team to maintain their normal program when it comes to their offensive execution. He has not done a good enough job of that in the playoffs the last 2 seasons, and it's led to stagnation in their offensive execution.
That's what their offense had become, and it's really good. But again, right now, to my eye, it's working a little better without him as far as the ball movement, because to Seth's point, it's way harder to guard those 2 guards, and if you throw Iggy in there and everybody else is Draymond, they're moving and grooving and picking, and again, that's a lot harder to guard because Seth could be guarding his brother, and his brother, when Kevin's on the floor, is Seth just watching.
Yeah, because
you gonna go?
Standing in the corner.
Yeah.
Skip, he had a post. There's a guy that made a post. Doubt us without KD. Doubt Curry. Doubt Clay and Dre. And keep thinking Milwaukee's better. Fan wrote on the post of Warriors Talk Instagram. Y'all doubters and haters will see. Kevin Durant responds, very divisive, Mikey. Let's celebrate the dub nation.
No.
F wrong.
No.
That's just how many followers? Mikey got like 23 followers, I think.
I mentioned this already about Kevin Durant. It's very obvious that he's someone who has to express himself. If he doesn't, it's going to eat him up. He's someone who's not going to allow himself to retreat into a shell because he's worried about what he's going to hear from someone who he believes has no idea what the hell they're talking about. So he'd rather stay on social media, stay on the internet, keep watching television shows where they're talking about him, and just respond rather than retreat into a shell because that's not his personality. I've mentioned this before, that the only real issue that I've ever had with KD was that time that he created all the fake accounts. That was him trying to create a false environment, a false atmosphere of support for his own sentiments. Because that's what people do. They create all these fake accounts and then they start agreeing with themselves. That shows that he's worried about winning internet arguments. If you're going to engage in that type of thing, state your claim, state your piece, and keep them moving.
Skip, all he said, if you're doubting us with Clay and Steph and Draymond, you're doubting these Warriors without KD, we're going to prove you wrong. KD said you being divisive. All he doing is...
Let me say this, though, and this is where I disagree with you, Shannon.
What's that?
If they're better without KD or win the championship without him, I agree. Those titles are diminished a little bit. But this is really not a slight on how great KD is.
No!
He still could be the best player in the world.
Once again, because they're going to try to use this to compare KD to LeBron and say LeBron is a better player or more impactful than KD. And that's an argument that you might be able to win, say, the Miami Heat LeBron James versus the Golden State Warrior Kevin Durant. If you were to compare those two players, LeBron might be the better player, but it's going to be very close and it's very debatable. But what they're not factoring in, and I cannot stress this enough, is that LeBron James can only play in the LeBron James system. Kevin Durant is far more malleable, far more pliable. That's why he can fit into almost every system, because he can play off the ball, he can play with the basketball, he can face up, he can post up, he can pass, he can rebound, he can defend. He can do all that. LeBron James' main weakness is that LeBron taps out if he's not the center of your universe. Once LeBron James sees that there's actually someone else in the offensive game plan other than him, he gets frustrated, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. And that is why when he leaves teams, they have a precipitous drop off. That's why that happens. But when you have great players on truly great teams with a great system, they will leave, but the team will still be very good. All you have to do is look at what happened when Tim Duncan left the Spurs, or when Michael Jordan left the Bulls for the first time, or when KD steps away from the Golden State Warriors. That does not mean that they're not great players. All that means is that they're playing on a team with a great system, with a coach who knows how to optimize all the talent that's on the team, even if the team is not necessarily that talented. The first Bulls team, the first three-peat Bulls team, they had above average talent. But I mean, other than Pippen, they didn't have any other great players on the team. But Phil Jackson knew, and Tex Winter knew, as well as Johnny Bach, how to maximize everyone on the squad. When you have a LeBron James go to Cleveland, they just sit back in awe and wait for him to kick the ball out to them for a wide open three. Once he's gone, okay, now we have to run a real offense. I remember Isaiah Thomas said that he was so shocked to find out that LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers don't really practice. LeBron works out by himself at home, or he comes to the facility, he shoots around, and then they just play the games. Because that was LeBron's way of saying, we don't need to practice. All you guys need to do is stand out there in the corner, and I'll pass you the basketball. That's why Kyrie got so frustrated. I mean, of course, we've come to find out that Kyrie has his own mental issues, but Kyrie was frustrated by the fact that we're basically just playing, street ball. I'm not learning anything in this offense.
I'm not so sure if, let's say, LeBron had gone to the Warriors instead of KD. Now, they would win titles because they'd be so overwhelmingly talented. Right. But this very same scenario could happen.
Yes.
Because if LeBron was there, he would handle the ball. Steph and Clay would be glorified spot-up shooters.
That's exactly what would happen. And beyond that, show me the offense. I mean, other than a couple of years in Miami where LeBron James moved without the basketball. Show me the time when LeBron James ran across the baseline to get a wide-open jump shot in the corner. That has never happened.
Shooters, and they'd win, but if LeBron got hurt and he's out of it, all of a sudden this happens again, and you would be like, but this...
Because they're playing in a real system. That's the point that you're trying to make, Chris Broussard.
This is beautiful. They look better without LeBron.
But see, that's my argument. They were so great before he got there. If they had lost the two finals and KD comes and puts them over the top, now we got a conversation. They 73-9 with a two-time league MVP. What the hell you expect them to be?
The answer is, look, if they had won that championship against Cleveland, KD never would have went there. And now you're seeing it. They look like they're going to win it.
Skip, if Julio Jones leaves Atlanta and goes and links up with Tom Brady and wins the championship, man, Julio was bad. Boy, dude, they won before you got there.
That is true.
Right, well, clearly, New England would have needed to sign Julio Jones in order for them to sign him, so he would still deserve credit. That's the point, Shannon Sharpe.
That is true, which harks back to the quote from our Chris Haynes on Yahoo that in the incident that Draymond got into it with KD on the bench during the Clippers game early this season, the quotes were, and I'm going to read the quotes again, according to Chris Haynes, that Draymond looked at him on the bench and said, "We don't need you. We won without you. Leave," and called it.
That's because Draymond was on his menstrual. That's why he flipped out like that. But, just in hindsight, it's very clear that Draymond was frustrated with KD because he views KD as someone who is a necessary evil. And Draymond won't say that. But Draymond is someone who has reaped the most from KD no longer playing right now. He's reaped the most benefit, even more than Steph Curry. People are looking at Draymond now as a top 15 player in the NBA again. So it's, as I reflect back at that blow up that Draymond had with KD, it's a little bit easier for me now to understand why Draymond spoke to him like he did, because he probably has some deep-seated, ill feelings towards KD. It's like, we need you to win, but you're really fucking up my game.
Called him the B word.
No, he's a lead. B.
Lead.
And I ain't talking about B like, hey, B, what's up, B? Not that kind of B. The other kind of B.
Yeah, look, I'm glad Kevin Durant is not seriously injured. I want to see how this plays out.
His ego.
Honestly.
I tell you what, listen.
But he's human.
Yeah.
That's all this means. Doesn't mean he's a bad person. No. He's a human being.
With the thinnest superstar.
And an extra sensitive human being.
Yes. I'm talking to you from a guy that's been in that situation. You get hurt, Skip, and the team keeps moving along without you, and then they like, wait a minute. Yeah, and
what if they look better without you?
I'm like, they doing it without me. So,
well, the sample size, at least in the playoffs, is too small to say that the Warriors look better without KD. What they look like is a team that has three other great players, and those three other great players are playing as hard as they can play, and they've been able to execute some great comebacks against a good team in Portland. That's what we've seen thus far. What we've seen from Golden State is that they're a great team who has to make sure that they exert 100% effort to make a series of comebacks against a good team to a very good team in the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, Toronto is on another level from Portland. So let's see what happens. And, of course, Toronto also has another one of the four superstars that I've noted in the NBA. Portland did not have a superstar. So they had no one to nullify Steph Curry. Steph Curry proved himself to be at least one level above Dame Lillard. At least one level. So now we're going to see one superstar against another, and Steph Curry against Kawhi Leonard. So whose supporting cast is going to be able to, to offset the other? That's really what this up-and-coming series is going to be about.
So that means they think they can go on without me. They're not going to make...
You talk about not letting it get to you and the mental side of the game. That has to affect it.
Of course it does.
Sitting there.
But Steph Curry is just going to show you. Y'all guys realize I'm the last two-time MVP? I'm the last guy to win consecutive MVPs. So while I conceded, I took a back seat. But I show you, I'm a lead dog.
You think he feels like they're just pushing him out the door now?
No, I think he feels like you guys are trying to push him out the door. That's what I think he feels like. Why would he feel like they're trying to push him out the door because they're winning? Like, what are they supposed to do? They're supposed to sit down and just give up because he got hurt? This is part of the bullshit narrative that I'm talking about. This is why so many of these star athletes will not speak to the media. This is why Kawhi Leonard makes sure that he keeps himself buttoned up and keeps everything close to the vest when it comes to his interactions with them. Because the media, their whole thing is trying to figure out what chink they could find in your armor, or, what seam they can try to insert themselves into to, maybe split the seam.
Let me look, and this is I've talked to some players. What players tell me is KD is recruiting guys to go to New York with him.
Okay.
Right now. So
no surprise.
I'm not surprised about that either.
So
and if we hear that, you can't tell me the Warriors players don't hear that.
Of course. That's one of the reasons why Draymond blew up on him as well. And I stated that at the time when I did the video. It was very clear to me. Draymond, I give him a hard time because he is emotionally unstable, but he's also highly intelligent. And it's very clear to me, especially being in LA at the time, playing against the Clippers, that was probably one of the teams that Draymond had heard, or, some news through the grapevine, that KD was flirting with the possible decision to leave the Warriors and go sign with the Clippers. And when you combine all those elements together, that's what led to the explosion. But it's very obvious that Draymond heard that.
And guess what?
Or something like that.
Guess what? Steph, Clay, and Draymond, they done packed their suitcase. Right. They done called them an Uber. Say, no matter how long you gotta wait, we got you.
That's what you're hoping for. You're hoping that they did all that shit.
They saying the right stuff. But they gotta know inside.
But Steph Curry, like, because now we keep talking about KD passing LeBron. Let Steph Curry win this one and another one. Guess what, KD?
Let Steph win this one.
Different conversation.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Steph Curry already has more accolades than KD, at least, I'll say from a regular season perspective. KD has a couple of finals MVPs, but if you're Steph Curry and the Warriors, you can say, well, we afforded him that because there's never a time when KD's going to be double teamed when me and Clay are out there.
Conversation. All right.
You gotta start doing it.
We gotta move on to.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see what happens with Kevin Durant in the offseason. So peace.